Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Tuesday Night Live podcast from the range with your host, John G. Johnson. Tuesday Night Live. Go ahead and give me a comment if you're here and you can hear me. Give me a comment if you are here and you can hear me. Trying something a little different today. It looks like our system is working, but I want to make sure you can hear me. Someone give me a comment. Let me know that, please, that you can hear me. Anybody can hear me? Yes, you can hear me. Only get up to that with points. For a guy that owns boats, depends on those boats living, you're going to have problems. Boats do not like extreme cold. Just had a record. Thank you, Mark J. Appreciate that very much. Well, welcome, guys. Welcome to Tuesday Night Live. Rob Durham, thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Welcome to Tuesday Night Live here from the range. And my name is John Johnson, and I'm the owner and operator of a firearms training facility in beautiful Cape Coral, Florida. And I specialize in you. Change the background again. That's Mr. Bucky and Mr. Hoggy that I did very many years ago. Loud and clear. Thank you, Chris. You know how spacious my office is, and I can always find everything. I could not find my oh, here they are. I could not find my plugs, man. I just was looking all over the damn place for them, and I could not find them. And it would probably help us just to get to the machine and figure out where, oh, there I am, where they physically were. And I found. Well, good evening. My name is John, and I am your firearms instructor, and I am your host of tonight's live. And I'm glad you are here. If you're new to the channel, or you haven't been here for a while, please comment. Let us know how you're doing and where you're watching from this evening. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. And we are live on Rumble. So obviously, each way you go, we're going to find you. And we appreciate you being here. Well, today there's a question I have to ask you. And it's one of the things that people always sort of wonder, are you practicing, or are you training, or are you just shooting? And I think the thumbnail I had here, let's see what the thumbnail said. I believe I said something fancy and snazzy about it, but I don't remember exactly what the verbiage was. But let me go back here. Are you training or just shooting? This is something that most people kind of question all the time. What are you getting out of your lesson that you're at the range? When you go to the range, comment for me. Would you consider yourself coming to the range as a training session, as a blow-off steam session, or just something to do? And these are the kind of things I see most people come. They come to the range. They buy 350, 400 rounds, and they're in here just to shoot. Not for accuracy, just to waste money and ammo on just shooting. And I get it. That's some people's prerogative. That's something that people do. And obviously, if that's what you want to do, I'm not going to say it's wrong. I mean, it's what you want to do. But I think every time we touch the firearm in a training position, we need to make sure we're getting something out of it. Because what I'm concerned about in a high-stress situation, we're going to fall back to our weakest training. And if that weakest training is you shooting all over the place and missing every third round or pulling every third round, is that really helpful for us, or is that going to cause us more problems in the end?
Because bad habits pick up very quickly, says the fat man. Someone who goes to the range and works out on a regular basis, and God bless them, and they watch what they eat and all that stuff like that. And I have sort of been disciplining myself, got off a little bit of carbs, stopped drinking sodas, only drink water, been walking every day. And it's hunting season is coming up in about a month and a half. And I just wanted to lose a little bit of weight like I do every year because most of my tree stands have a weight limit. And I got to be below that weight limit because you don't wear naked. You're not up there naked. You have to wear clothes, right? You have to wear pants and shoes and boots, and all that shit weighs something. And when you look at the weight limit on those tree stands, they're on there for a reason. Hello, Philip. How you doing? Good to hear from you. They're on there for a reason, so we like to get that down, and then it helps because we walk a lot during the hunt season because most of the places we go are vehicle access limited, so we have to do a lot of their walk-in spots, and they don't have a lot of electrical bikes and all that stuff. You got to really put your boot work in, if that makes sense. So it's part of the deal. So today we're going to talk about most gun owners hit the range and throw some rounds downrange and call it practice. But is it really training? In this week's live, we're going to break down the critical difference between just shooting and real firearms training. If you want to tighten your groups faster, have faster follow-ups, and real confidence with your handgun, this is a conversation that you need to have. What we're going to cover is we're going to cover 10 topics that I think you're wasting ammo not training. While repetition without a purpose is a bad habit, a difference between range visit and training session, how to structure your range time for actual improvement, drills are doodling, the real reason you're not seeing results, and then we're going to talk a little bit about our handgun training system and how it fixes this problem, and then we'll answer any questions you guys have and maybe troubleshoot a little bit for you if you have a little problems at the range. So here we go. Are you ready? Here are 10 fixes that turn shooting into real training. Number 1 is start with a goal. How many of you come to the range with a goal in mind? How many of you walk into the range and say, I am going to work on trigger control this week? I am going to work on a proper grip. I'm going to work on my sight alignment and sight picture to make sure that I'm consistently doing it properly. I'm going to work on my follow through and not drop the gun every time I shoot the pistol and look up over the gun to see where my bullets are impacting. This is important for us because when you don't have a goal in mind, you have no idea if you are getting better or getting worse. So just don't show up to shoot. Decide whether you're working on accuracy, drawing, reloading, grip, stance, trigger control, sight picture, sight alignment, and pick one. Because, guys, it's very difficult for us to put all of them up in the air at the same time. Remember at the circus. Remember at the circus, the juggler can keep them all up there for a while, but sooner or later, something's going to fall. So if we concentrate on one fundamental at a time, we're going to better ourselves and become more confident of what we're doing rather than just going to the range and just blasting the hell out of the target. And hopefully some of the what we're getting out of it becomes second nature to us. Number 2 is to use a drill, not just a target. Too many people come to the range, put up a target, and just shoot at it. Having a drill in some. This is why we put the handgun training system together, because I give you a accuracy drill each week, and each week you work that accuracy drill the best you can. And most of these accuracy drills we put together in the handgun training system, which is a membership based product, that you get the PowerPoint presentation, that you get the PDF target we use, you get the 5:45 Monday PowerPoint presentation that I do live, and then you get the ability to put all that stuff, get to the range, get the homework done, and send it in for us to look at and see if we can help you become more proficient with a pistol than just going to the range, getting one of those silhouette targets with that circle in the middle of the guts with a red. So you've all seen them, the black circle, the red circle in the middle of the chest. Well, it's supposed to be up high in the chest, but it's at the guts all the time. Very cool, Humjack. That's cool. They're nice. Kurt Richards, thank you very much for being here. Nice, very cool. So it's important that we get some kind of system or drill set together. If you're looking for drills, guys, there are plenty of them on my YouTube channel. Matter of fact, I have a playlist that's drills that you need to know. And there's probably 20 of them there. The handgun training system, there are archive drills from the guys who've done the masterclass with us. There is probably 15 or better on there, and they're each individual drills a little bit different, a little more challenging. Where with this week's drill was actually a transition drill, which was kind of cool for the guys. And we make them each week for them to have. They have a PowerPoint presentation, and each week you're able to lay it out. So, get a plan, guys. Every shot should be part of a structured drill with a purpose, not just a mag dump. This is why we teach most of our students and most of the people, we preach and preach and preach about 5 rounds at a time, 5 rounds at a time. Because when you get in past 5 rounds, you are no longer controlling the pistol like you were with the first 5 rounds. And the moment you start losing your consistency, then that's when the bad habits pick up very quickly, and it becomes more of a challenge for you as well. So, yeah. That's a good point, Sam. That's a good point, Mr. Sanchez. Yeah. All right. What I would think most people tend to run into problems is when they start mag dumping, when they start putting a lot more rounds downrange, when they start losing control of the weapon. We know when a good shot feels good. We know when a bad shot feels bad. And that's the key thing. Someone who's new doesn't understand what a dumping of the mag or pulling of the trigger versus pressing of the trigger. So I can tell you, once you start feeling what a good shot feels like, the bad shots are magnified because they feel so much different for you. And it makes you feel like you're out of control with the weapon. And that's what happens. You start in control, and as you get further along, shooting faster and faster, you start losing control of the pistol, which technically you lose in your confidence or your control of the weapon, and it becomes more of a challenge. Now, number 3 is tracking your hits, marking your targets, scoring your performance, document your progress over time. This is what I tell all the students here. Get yourself some markers, some red markers, some blue markers, some green markers, and shoot 5 rounds at a time. Mark the 5 rounds, whatever color you want, and go on and on and on and on. Because what tends to happen is the closer we stay to the fundamentals, the more accurate we're going to become. Once we get the fundamentals down and the confidence down, accuracy will come. I promise you. We just got to be able to control the weapon. And it takes a lot because people think I have to control this weapon with what? Your hands. No, you don't control the firearm in your hands. You hold a firearm with your hands, but you drive the firearm with your chest muscles. If you're a man, and if you're a woman, you drive it with your back muscles. And this will keep the weapon more level than anything else, because you can over torque with one hand or another and cause a lot of problems. Right-handed students are naturally wanting to squeeze harder with their right hand, but technically all your power comes from your non-dominant hand, not your dominant hand. So learning the proper grip is important, but we got to track every bullet we impact to see exactly what's doing. With the masterclass and the handgun training system and all the drills we do and what we end up giving you as far as all these videos that we give you through our YouTube channel. By the way, guys, got to 40,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel thanks to you guys. And I appreciate that very much. You don't know how. I remember we started out, me and Johnny, with 37 subscribers. And I had a YouTube channel since 2018. It didn't really take it serious until 2022, maybe. And then now we're at 40,000. Next major one is 50. And then from there, get to 100. That's would be awesome each week. But each week we keep finding stuff to do, and you guys are seeming to love it. So we appreciate it very much. If you haven't had an opportunity to subscribe to the YouTube channel, or if you have subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure that you check out the links down below. Beautiful. Thank you, Chris. Chris says our Publix here locally has colored Sharpie packs on BOGO till tomorrow. Thank you, Chris. So the idea of the markers is it helps you identify the string, first string, second string, third string, fourth string, fifth string. You know, when you work 50 rounds at the range and you do it properly, it'll take you close to an hour to shoot them. It'll take you close to an hour to shoot 50 rounds at the range, and you're going to get more out of those 50 rounds than you are 200 rounds. And people go, well, what are you talking about? Yeah, because nobody is evaluating their shots. And I think that's imperative for us to understand the valuation. Now we have Tuesday night league, Thursday night leagues here where it's a bullseye league. Now I don't want you to be a bullseye shooter. I want you to be a defensive shooter. I want you to understand that I need to run the gun fast enough to keep the bullets in whatever I'm aiming at, but I don't need to have them all touching. I don't need to cloverleaf a bad guy. You know what a cloverleaf is? That's when you put 4 bullets stacked on top of one another, and it makes sort of like the cloverleafy look. If you're able to cloverleaf your pistol, you most likely are shooting too slow. and you need to speed your process up or extend your range. You've already conquered that distance you're working on, and you need to move back a little bit. Because we should not worry about having them all stack on one another. At 3 yards, you should be able to hit a baseball size target. At 5 yards, a little bit bigger than that. At 7 yards, a little bit bigger than that. And then at 30 or so, basketball size would be fine. You might be able to keep that into the softball size. So we go ping pong, baseball, softball, volleyball, basketball, all of those sizes, you're going to win. Because realistically, if you take an 8-inch paper plate, put it in your chest or say anybody else's chest, if you can unpack the 8-inch paper plate with any distance, you're doing well with a handgun. You're doing well with a handgun. That's a good test for you. And that's a good test for you to figure out where you fail too. Go ahead, put the 8-inch paper plate up or 6-inch paper plate. Start at 3, go to 5, go to 7, go to 10. Keep going if you got the distance, and see when your bullets fall out of favor. And at that distance is the distance you really need to work on and concentrate on or keep the weapon level. Most likely, once you get past 21 feet, get to 10 yards and 15 yards and 20 and 25 yards, you're getting a little fur for a handgun. Not saying it can't be done, but we want to be very diligent about what we do with a handgun at those kind of distances. 40 yards with a handgun is a poke. And if you're using defensively, you got no business shooting that far unless they're shooting at you with a rifle or something like that. And if they're shooting at you with a rifle, you're not going to win that either, because somebody who's the shittiest shooter in the world with a rifle is 10 times more accurate than you'll be with a handgun, because the 2 points of contact and then stress involved in it as well. But tracking your hits is so important. Number 4 is limiting your rounds. Fewer rounds with more focus beats more rounds with no direction. Make every round count. And this is something you should adopt immediately if you want to increase your accuracy. If you want to start understanding the gun, trust me, I've been doing this a long time. I take a lot of students. We train an awful lot. I did 5 classes today, and every student only puts 5 rounds in a gun, and they're twice as accurate with those 5 rounds, only because they're trying to make every round count. These are new students, guys. Now I'm holding their hand, you understand? I'm giving them the knowledge. I'm letting them put everything together in front of me. I'm putting it together and allowing them to. And within a short period of time, they're stacking them on top of the circle. And they understand the whole concept. What tends to happen when at the range, like last night, we had 2 guys in right at closing time. The employee bought the boss. The boss had never shot a pistol before. He's here, he's shooting, and I walk in the back. I'm watching this muzzle flip going on, and he's got his thumb back behind the slide, and he's getting away with it, and he's not getting bit yet, but he's going to get bit. And I ran back there, and I gave him 10 minutes of just, hey, this is what you need to do to control the weapon. His buddy goes, oh, yeah, I should have told him that. Yeah, you should have, but you didn't. And then he didn't think about it because he's not a trainer. He wants his boss to shoot, but he's not a trainer, you understand? And we think about the safety orientation of it. If you take a student who really wants to do this, and the moment you let them shoot a pistol and they've got their thumb wrong or they've got something wrong and they pull the trigger and cut their finger or bang their finger or do something, well, you've lost them for a long period of time. It's not what we want. We want to control them, let them understand it, and be safe about it. So, limiting your rounds helps tremendously you to become more accurate with a pistol, because now you have to count. You're coming to the range with a Glock 19 that holds 15 rounds, putting 15 rounds in the magazine and firing all 15 rounds. I get it. That's fun, neat. But how big's your group? It's not basketball size. It's not softball. It's not baseball. They're all over the place because you cannot control. Most people can't, even myself, control past 7 or 8 rounds. You're losing your control of the pistol. And to drive that pistol as hard as you need to drive it to shoot that way, you're not going to shoot that way in a high defense situation. Because in a high defense situation with a big adrenaline dump, your body is going to deem what it's going to think. What do I need to survive this event? And if it's vision, it's going to make you have television. If it says, "Well, I don't need vision for that. I don't need your knees for this. I don't need to move. I just need to get this thing done." And it's going to deem everything it seems unnecessary and necessary, and it's going to cause you a lot of problems. That's why we need to work with these firearms and build a full muscle memory program for ourselves. So when we pick the weapon up in a high defense situation, we drop to a muscle memory focus, and it becomes so much simpler for us than trying to go through the system that John Johnson gave you in high stress, which will not be. We always get the questions asked, should this gun be loaded when I take it home? Now, these are people who are new to shooting. These are people who have never really, this is not in their wheelhouse. This is not something they never thought they would need. But with the way the world is going now, they realize that the firearm is for now. The cops are for 14 to 16 minutes later. It's not the cop's job to save your life. It's your job to save your life. Realistically, the cop's job is the right to report and draw the chalk line. Just make sure that chalk line isn't yours. So limiting your rounds is number 4. Number 5 is slow down to speed up. And that seems weird what I just said there, but slow down to speed up. We do not need to run the trigger as super fast. We need to get the fundamentals, press the trigger, get the groups tight, and once we've got it done where we need to, then we can increase the speed, and you're not going to have the sloppiness you would if you weren't controlling the weapon. So you need to slow down to speed up. We need to get a system down that's going to allow us to control the weapon continuously through every shot focus. And it becomes more and more and more valuable to you because technically 2 o'clock in the morning when shit hits the fan, there is none of that. Let me think about what I did last week in training. You're just going to jump to the point, and hopefully it is a good point. So master the skill first, slowly, and then increase the speed. Don't train sloppiness. Train with preparedness. Train with a thought. Train with a program. Get the system down, control the weapon, and count every shot. Number 6, this is a big one. Now, I learned this through the masterclass. I put a lot of students, about 65 students have gone through our masterclass. And what that is that is a 5-week to master your handgun. And these are people from all over the United States. And it's been a fun journey, really. I took July off because I did back to back to back to back ones, and I just needed a break. I got the handgun training system still going, and we'll probably reboot the master class next month. But that's kind of one of those things. It was a good thing, and each week they get a full training system. First week is about fundamentals. Second week is all about trigger. Third week is about uh, uh, accuracy, speed and accuracy, and fourth week is about real world situations like shooting one handed and things like that. It's a full 4 week course with grip with drills and tips and targets and videos that you get to watch. When I tell you about proper grip, we're going to see a video of proper grip. When I tell you about proper stance, you can see a video about proper stance. But what I did in third week, we started working a lot of dry firing. This masterclass was all about dry firing because I knew if I was going to work with a student in, well, our largest span of students, I had somebody from Washington State, then I had a person in Boston, Massachusetts, and we had students all over the United States doing this class. And when I introduced the 5 dry fires before you 5 live fires at the range, their accuracy rate just went up dramatically because they were starting to get a true trigger travel fundamentals. And that's the key thing. Trigger travel, really, guys, is how much that trigger comes from A to C. It's got to go through the structure, get back to the wall, then get back all the way for the gun to go bang. And that trigger travel is something that you need to educate yourself with and continuously modify and get better and better and better at it. But what we give the students is we say, hey, listen, start dry firing first, then live firing. It really was a game changer for these guys because they ran the drill first by dry firing. Then they ran the drill the second time live firing, and their groups got tighter and tighter. So using dry fire reps to warm up and program proper mechanics before wasting ammo. Before wasting ammo. Because a bullet that doesn't go where you want it to go is a wasted bullet. Does that make sense? You're going to have a harder time remembering you want the good holes in the target, not the bad holes in the target. And any bullet that you're shooting that you don't know where the impact is, that's a wasted bullet. Because you should have full confidence when you take that pistol, put it in your hand, put it out in front of you, find your sight system, concentrate on front post focus, and slowly get that trigger back. There should be no questions asked where that bullet's going to go. It's going to go where the pistol is aiming. But if you were to pull the trigger or speed through the trigger or not control the weapon, no pistol should be flip-flopping in your hand. If you're not getting a true driven pistol, then you're having some muzzle flipping situation, which means you're not controlling the weapon, whether you're not controlling it with your hands or you're controlling it too much with your hands, or you're driving that pistol down during the shot because you're trying to fight the recoil. Gentlemen, if you put your hands out in front of you real quick and bring your hands together and squeeze your hands really tight together, you're going to feel your pecs kick in. And that's how you're supposed to drive a pistol, with your pecs. Ladies, if you're on here, push your dominant hand out and pull your non-dominant hand back. You'll feel your back muscles kick in. And then that's what you're going to be using to control the weapon. You're going to be driving it with your back muscles. then both of you are going to use your feet shoulder width apart, not 1 foot back, not 1 foot forward. Then you want to lean a little bit forward, put your nose over your toes, and then allow that weapon and the recoil management to be soaked up by the way you're leaning, and you're going to be able to keep that weapon level. And I've always told you that a level pistol will shoot level, but if you got it pointed down, that's the only way the bullet's going to go is down. You got it left, you got it right, you got it high. These are the bullet's only going to go where you pull it. You pull it, not press it. If you press the trigger, you got less likely to manipulate the pistol. If you pull the trigger, you most likely will pull the handgun and take your sight system offline at that point in time, which will cause you more inaccuracy. Number 7 is a good one. Film yourself. I find myself when I'm doing these videos and classes, I always catch myself doing something that I don't like, and I kind of show it in the videos, right? But if you film yourself and record your grip and your stance and your shot process, it's easier to catch the flaws. I use the filming situation a lot in classes because a student standing in front of me pointing the gun at an angle. One of the things I can give you, and will help you out tremendously, is stop aiming below your waist. You have a target. Just because there's 5 targets on that, 5 holes on that target, five circles on that target, the ones on the bottom, you're going to use your arms to get there. You don't use your arms to get there, you use your waist. So when you get the top ones in your line of sight, you shoot the ones up top, the ones in the middle, then take the target off and flip it around and put the new targets up top. You want to try to stay in your line of sight as much as possible. When you start aiming or shooting below your line of sight, you have to adjust the gun in some way, because technically, if you are not using your waist to aim the gun and you're using your wrist to aim the gun, then your accuracy or the gun's going to be at a weird angle, and you're going to get some bullets that are low at that point in time. That's why when you shoot at a target below your belly button, that's why you tend to shoot those low, because you've got the gun in some weird angle. It's very common for that to happen. So stop aiming low and always put the target up in your line of sight. You want the target between your nose and your eyes. That's where you want to be, because that's your horizontal, and then your vertical line is your dominant eye. So you have a horizontal and vertical line, which makes a cross. That's where your eye should be. And that's where you're most accurate, is over your dominant eye, vertically and horizontally. And that'll give you the best way to aim a pistol. Look at the line drill on my YouTube channel. I put 2 eyes on a target. It doesn't matter if you're right-handed, right eye dominant or left eye dominant, but put that target in your line of sight, and we had you shoot the eyes on one of these targets, and most people were impacting below the eye because they were pulling it below the eye, not manipulating the trigger process. One other good one to tell you what you're doing wrong with the trigger is the line drill. The line drill is a real easy drill. It is a black line. We've used black magic markers to make that line. We use black electrical tape to draw that line. And you take that line, black piece of tape, and you put it directly in your line of sight, almost where your eye line is. And then you take your pistol and you try to impact that line. If you hit the line or a little bit above the line, where you're doing what you need to do with the pistol. If you are aiming at the line and you hit below the line, well, then you're doing some manipulation to the trigger to cause it drop below the line. That is a challenging drill for most people, and it really educates people on how much manipulation is happening. One of the things that people do, which I see an awful lot of, and you may be one of these guilty of it, is when you got the pistol here in your hand and you dump your head to get to the pistol. The moment you dump your head to get to the pistol, you're going to shoot low. Because now what you need to do is bring the gun up in your line of sight up here and bend at your waist to get that gun aimed properly. But you never dip your head to the gun. Bring the gun to the dominant eye, not the dominant eye to the gun. It'll help you tremendously. Number 8 is use some kind of timers or metrics. Add a shot timer. Maybe use par timers to bring accountability, pressure into your practice. I think these things add a lot to it, but we got to get to there to do this. I don't think a first month, second month, third month, 3-year person should be using any kind of shot time. Shot timers are more for courses and things like that. It isn't about the second, the third, the fourth shot. It's about the first shot and how important that first shot is for to be able to understand. Do we trust the weapon enough to know when I cut the shot, it's going to go right? Aim the shot. And I think that's important for us. For the first shot is the best shot. That's the first shot is the saving shot. In one of these situations we're in, and who normally gets the first shot off is the winner. And that's kind of important for us because we need to identify, make a decision, get the gun out, and get the shot off in a timely manner. Most people are reacting to a gunshot. Obviously, none of us want to be in that situation, but it's better off that we realize the threat versus them becoming the threat, and we have to fight it off. So add shot timers or par times to bring accountability to it. You can do that when you want to, but I think it is something that does add a little stress to it. Number 9 is work on one skill at a time. I've done a lot of questioning to students. When we got the master class going, we kind of wanted to know what people were doing. I kind of know, I'm going to gun range. I kind of see what happens back there on a regular basis, and we're in and out. And, they're not working on one thing at a time. They're trying to do the whole thing. I get it's expensive to shoot, and I get it's kind of one of those you're paying by the minute, basically. We're $25 for an hour. Well, we're not time counters, so if we're not busy and someone came in and they spent $25 with us, I'm not going to go out there at 59.5 seconds left and say, you got to go. We're not kicking anybody out. Your wallet extends your time. You know how much money you have and how long you can stay. But I can tell you the people who come and shoot 50 to 70 rounds get more out of range time than someone who comes and spends 300 or 400 rounds. Because the person who spends 50 rounds in here has learned something from every bullet. The person who has shot 300 to 400 rounds has really not got much out of it besides an empty wallet, if that makes sense. And it's part of the thing that most people do because they're not working on one skill at a time. They're juggling 5 things at a time. They're focusing on, if you focus on one thing per session, you're going to get a lot more out of it. Like trigger control. If we got to a point where you did 50 rounds, one shot at a time, use a white piece of paper. This is an easy drill anybody could do. Take your target, turn it upside down or backwards where it's white, which we have no dots at that point in time. Put it out in front of you. Put the target at a range that you can conquer, 3 yards, okay? Then I want you to visualize in your line of sight. I want you to visualize the dot out there. There's not a dot, but you're going to kind of visualize the dot. And then I want you to get a good grip. I want you to drive your chest muscles, men. Ladies, I want you to drive your back muscles. I want you to put that weapon out in front of you. I want you to get that gun out in front of you, and I want you to bring that trigger back as slow as you can and take the shot. Now, if you're honest with yourself, did that bullet impact where you were aiming, or did it hit below you where you were aiming? And most people would shoot below where they were aiming. And then we have to figure out, well, then what is going on there? Did I dip my head to the gun? Did I pull the trigger? Did I do anything? And the one shot drill is a great drill because it starts educating you really quick on trigger manipulation and how much that trigger controls the impact of the bullet. And you just do it over. Now, once you've got that line out there, or once you've got those 5 bullets out in front of you, now go back and try to put one in the same hole that you did before. And see if you hit below that line. And if you shoot below that line, then what you've done is you are doing some manipulation. That's the beauty of all training, is it gives us the education, the knowledge, and the know-how of what the hell we're doing wrong with the pistol. It's not your fault that you suck at shooting. The firearm is the toughest weapon to shoot because you only have 2 points of contact. Most people do that wrong because they squeeze harder with their dominant hand and not hard enough with their non-dominant hand, which causes a lot of issues. Most right-handed students shoot low and left, and it's a very common thing people do because they've gotten finger too far in the gun. They got the gun over their nose and not over their dominant eye, because if you put the gun directly over your nose, you're already shooting to the left without even thinking about it, because now you've got the gun over your nose and not over your dominant eye. So you're looking at the pistol at a vice, which is going to cause a lot more inaccuracy than you ever had before. But if you get the weapon and eye turned together and get it up over your top of it and slowly press that trigger, your manipulation won't be as much. Now, we need to understand trigger travel. That's why it's so important that we work on one thing at a time. If you want a couple drills for trigger travel, they're on my YouTube channel. If you want a couple drills for proper grip, I have ebooks about a proper grip and stance and trigger control and sight picture. We have all the books. I have a full ebook on why I shoot low and left. That was one of our best sellers because it really educates you on what the hell's going on. And trust me, you could do this all you want and look at the pistol and think, what the hell's wrong with this pistol? The sights must be off. They ain't off, folks. They ain't off. We're just doing something wrong. And I have the left too, so I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm saying I have the same problems. And I have the same issues you do. I'm just trying to help you become the best you. Once you really educate yourself on what's causing all these inaccuracy issues, being accurate with a pistol becomes pretty simple, pretty easy. Last week, perfect example. Guy came in, bought one of them. I always can't think of the guys. The high-end 1911s that everyone's buying now. The real, what the hell's the name of it? Real fancy. $3,000 1911. And the guy was telling me it was shooting off. There's problems with it. It's this, it's that. I got to have this thing adjusted again. I went back there and shot it. There was nothing wrong with it. He's just manipulating a pistol. And the problem is he's got 3 of them. He bought 3. He bought one, this full size, one middle, one carry. And his carry one, he's really, really, really super sharp with it. Now, the bigger one, he doesn't get it because he can't get his hand all the way around it. But I shot all 3, and they all shoot the same. So Jacob sighted it in for him. So I'm pretty sure it wasn't an issue. It's just doesn't matter how expensive or how cheap you buy a pistol, if you run it properly, it's going to run fine. If you manipulate it, pull it, jerk it, squeeze it, do some kind of odd off thing, well, that's exactly where it's going to go. And number 10 is assign some homework to yourself. Being disciplined on training with a weekly fan is just what we like to do in the handgun training system. The system itself lets you turn your range time into real training. It lets you tighten up your groups, sharpen your skills, and finally start shooting with some confidence. I've told you many times before, when you start shooting with confidence, you will become more accurate with a pistol. The handgun training system is only as good as the training behind it. So let's get to work and start becoming the best shooter we can be. Here's the truth. If you're throwing rounds downrange with no plan, no purpose, no way to measure the progress, you're not training. You're just making noise. But good news, I can change that by letting you start the handgun training system, which is in the link down below. This gives you a structured event each week. We have students every Monday. That group's getting bigger and bigger. And the cool thing is, no matter when you start the handgun training system, which is only $29.99 a month to work with me exclusively for 4 weeks. 4 weeks for $29.99. You get 4 drills, you get 4 PowerPoint presentations, you get 4 PDF targets, you get the course system, the work system, the homework stuff we get, and you get to work with me. You can send me your targets through email. You can send me targets through the course system, and we can talk to each other as far as through cell phone, through email, or through text. It's up to you which way you want to do it, and will help you become the best shooter you can be. And at that point in time, there's no more guessing at the range. There's no more wasting of ammo. You're just processing week after week new drills to make you more comfortable. The concept of this whole handgun training system was the next level of the masterclass. When the students wanted to graduate the masterclass, they were able to get into the handgun training system. And we've been doing that ever since the first one. And it's become somewhat of a fun little deal. We've got a good group of guys, and they're all over the United States, and they continuously show up every week, 5:45 on a Monday. It's Eastern Standard Time. We do the PowerPoint for the week. We give you the drills. We give you all the documents, why I think the drill is important, why it's going to help you tremendously, and then get your information, any Q&As you have in that. If you're ready to stop spinning your wheels and start actually improving, you can join the handgun training systems by clicking the links in the descriptions below. Guys, I'm a firearms instructor. My name is John Johnson, and I specialize in you. And I'm here to help the student like yourself get to the next level. I mentioned about the ebooks. If you haven't got one of our ebooks, you can have one for free. I want to give you one. All you have to do is click the link in the descriptions below, pick the book you think is going to help you the most, and go ahead and put that in the cart. Enter free book at checkout, and it's yours for free, gratis, no strings attached, nothing like that. Now, guys, what are those books about? They're about grip and stance and trigger control and sight picture and sight alignment and why I shoot low and left and all kinds of stuff like that. And if you find one of those that you think is going to really help you, and you want to add a couple more to the cart, we have left those books on a continuous on sale procedure. Those books are normally $3.99. They're about 50 pages long, 50 to 70 pages long, pretty simple. You can download them, add them to the cart, and you still get those at the $2.99 price. And guys, if you want to add a few more to your cart, to support a family-owned business like mine, I would truly appreciate that very much. Well, guys, tonight has been a great night. We're going to go up and look at any comments that were there. It looks like we had a few, and anything you guys have a comment on, you can always ask. When we do the PowerPoints, we don't look at comments to do. And then we're going to say thank you for people who did make some stuff here. Mark J., thank you very much for being here. We appreciate you very much. Rob Durham, thank you for being here, sir. Chris, as always, my friend. Phil, you're the best, buddy. Huck Jam. I'm at my home range shooting my PCP rifle. Beautiful. That's awesome. Nothing like coming home after work and being able to have a shoot. Yeah, that's true, buddy. Yeah, I've lived here all my life. I'm third generation, but we can't still shoot in our backyard. Our lots are too small here. Kurt Richards, thank you for being here from New Jersey. We appreciate you. Keep your head up, buddy. Keep your head up. Look at Miss Sanchez said, when I was in the Marines, I remember thinking about who we were fighting and asked myself if they had plates, we should practice going for pelvic shots. So I started training for those shots. Yeah, I mean, that's the way to do it. Yeah, I've never been shot by one bullet with a plate, but I can tell you this, that they impact with a plate is still going to knock the shit out of them, especially if you're shooting a 30 cal or a 223 with high velocity like that. It's going to cause a lot of hydrostatic pressure when that thing gets stopped in full impact. 3,000 feet per second hitting the plate is going to cause a little bit of challenge for them. And he agreed 100%, nice and slow with applied fundamentals is the way to go. Then you can work up faster and faster. Very good there, Mr. Sanchez. Appreciate you saying that. Most of my co-workers are more interested in amount of boxes and rounds they shoot than the range, not the quality. Yeah, that's not your co. That's everybody. I sell ammo for a living. I just shouldn't complain about it, but I see this is a passion of mine. I don't know if you can tell. When we have people who are back there, and I know they could do one or two things to become better shooters, it's hard for me not to say something. And most people are cool about it. And then Hook Jam said, not putting pressure with your dominant hand is the hardest thing for me to get used to. Yeah, it is. It is very challenging. But it's just a mathematical equation. If you got your hands together, and I'm right-handed, I'm going to have 3 fingers holding on to the gun in this way because the trigger finger and the thumb don't really do anything. And then I have 4 fingers on that. So my left hand would be more control of the weapon than my right hand. The problem is when people take this hand and throw that thumb against the gun, then you start thumbing the weapon as well. We want to make sure that the right thumb is on top of the left thumb and it's indexing towards the target. The 2 thumbs forward grip is a better grip because you can lock out your wrist. And once you locked out your wrist, you're able to control more muzzle flip that way. And Chris talked about the multiple Sharpies at our Publix, local Publix here for the BOGO. You're such a smart shopper, Chris. Well, guys, thank you very much for being here this evening. I really appreciate your loyalty each week. Each week we find new students that come and find us each week. And I'm very humbled to think that we surpassed 40,000 subscribers with a small family-owned business like this. But we got people all over the United States and all over the world who follow us, which is something that truly, truly humbles me as well. So until next time, God bless, be safe, and remember, you are your first line defense. I love you guys. Have a great night and a good evening.